Ukraine wouldn't have been able to have any artillery ammunition, for instance, if it wasn't for the West. And certainly they wouldn't have access to the long-range rocket system, the HIMARS system, which Ukrainian forces have been using to shoot at Russian ammo dumps and supply convoys and so forth, and really wear those down. But I think probably the thing that's happened that's most decisive in Ukraine's favour is that for about a month or so, it telegraphed that it was going to counterattack out of the southeast near the city of Kherson. And the Russians redeployed a large number of troops and lots of equipment to try and block that. What actually happened is that the Ukrainians attacked out of the northeast, and that line of the front was not hugely well defended by the Russians, and largely people from the Donetsk militia, and the Ukrainians broke through. Now, Russian propaganda, state TV, has been saying that Russian forces are regrouping. But from what we see, it does look as though it was a fairly disorderly regrouping, and more like a retreat at that.
So, Matthew Sussex, how long will Ukraine be able to maintain this momentum?
Look, I think it depends very much on how much support it's able to receive in terms of heavy weapons, in terms of ammunition, and so forth. But I think that its success that it's had against Russian forces, frankly, nothing breeds charity like a sign of success, is the fact that they've been doing relatively well, and Zelensky will now be able to go to the West and Western nations and say, look, we need more ammunition and we need more heavy weapons to finish the job. It's certainly not a matter of manpower. The Ukrainian military can have up to about 250,000. So there's plenty of people available. Unfortunately, of course, there's plenty of people on the Russian side as well, which means that this may be the end of a battle, but it's certainly not the end of the war.
What will Vladimir Putin be planning in response? Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz says the Kremlin remains undaunted.
Yes, look, Vladimir Putin has a number of relatively unpalatable options. One of them is to cut his losses and sue for peace. He's certainly not going to do that because it would look extremely weak domestically. He's already starting to come under fire from Russian ultranationalists, including a group from St. Petersburg and a group from Moscow who've called for him to be tried for treason for his conduct in the war. So he's unlikely to do that. He probably will seek to bring the war back to the type of pattern that we saw over about the last 4 months. And that is a sort of long battle of attrition where both sides trade artillery duels with one another. There are some other options he's got that are slightly more exotic. He might choose a general mobilization to put the entire country on a war footing. And that's something that's been called for by a few of the Duma deputies, Russia's parliamentary deputies, calling for that now. Or he may try something even more out of the box, such as trying to loop NATO into the conflict in some way, or even go as far as tactical nuclear weapons. Both of those, I think, are unlikely because they would speed his defeat.
What are Volodymyr Zelensky's chances of retaking all of the areas still occupied by Russia, including Crimea, as he wants to happen?
Yeah, I mean, in the short term, his prospects aren't necessarily very good because there's a large amount of territory that Russia controls. Russia and its proxies control about a fifth of Ukrainian territory. And whereas the gains that they've made are very solid, there's an awful lot left, and there are a lot of Russian troops in the way before Zelensky can accomplish that. So I think probably what we're going to see is that the Ukrainian counteroffensive will slow down. In fact, it's already slowing down. That's for the obvious reason that they need to secure some of the towns and cities like Izium that they've managed to capture, and those important rail links and road links that they can use to sort of prevent or hurt the resupply efforts of Russian forces. So it's got a long way to go yet. And certainly wouldn't put the house on, Ukraine retaking all of its lands from Russia within the foreseeable future, at least.